I enlisted the help of Felicity Farseer to tune and optimize my ship's frameshift drive. I spent the last week or so in a self-imposed isolation. The fighting in Wolf 25 had left me with scars not only on my fertile lance, but also on my mind. I felt like I needed a break, something to take my mind off of things. Felicity wanted a whole shopping list of materials, scrap and data in order to buy her services. I thought that maybe the time spent digging around sun-scorched rocks, misty craters and deep Europa lines would be enough. It would have me ready, back in the flight seat of my fertile lance. But alas, it was not. And this was the very reason why I find myself sitting on my Asp Explorer at an engineering outpost. Finally, though, the modifications were complete. With a jump range of around 51 light years, my escape from the bubble came ever closer. I was running out of excuses, really. The next thing I thought about was where I would go. There's plenty of lonely places in the bubble, but I should go somewhere which gives me some solitude, but also a purpose. I thought about heading to the outer southeast spiral arm. If it floats roughly 24,000 light years away on the edge of the galaxy, it would definitely give me some solitude, but I'm not totally sure about the purpose. While I performed the cold start, waiting for my power plant to reach full efficiency, each of my systems came online one by one. I read about the explorers heading to the Heart and Soul Nebula in search of the answers to a mystery. My course seemed obvious. I would make my first stopping point LBN 623. It was a small planetary nebula with a rich magenta glow, approximately 700 light years away. I would not look back until I got there. It would give me a chance to consider my actions, if the journey to the Heart and Soul Nebula was really ultimately good for me. As I slowly ascended, I looked down upon the station that I had spent a fair few nights in the bar punishing myself. I set my navigation computer to LBN 623 and spooled up the frameshift drive. It made a thunderous crack as I opened the bridge to Witchspace. I guess Witchspace is a place of solitude, but it's also a strange place. It seems not quite within its reality. There are stories of pilots lost to it, people who've lost their minds. People vanished without a trace, victims of the Fargoid, they say, a race which seems like the thing of myth and legend. Stars came and went, and I scooped and scanned until I finally approached the nebula. There it was, bright on one side, dark and foreboding on the other. I guess that's like all things. There's a strange beauty to it, how a wisp of atoms drifting through space could create a structure so magnificent, and yet 623 was considered tiny. The scale of this universe is truly humbling and also terrifying. I would look for a place to land and stretch my legs. I had found a baking hot planet, which my onboard sensors indicated had deposits of yttrium. It seemed perfect. Being a seasoned explorer, I already knew its value. So this would be my first stop to the journey. I was getting pretty tired, and it made sense. As I thought about my decision whether to carry on to the Heart and Soul, and yeah, I couldn't give myself any excuses to turn back. So I headed towards a brightly coloured region. My prospecting days had told me that this was often where minerals could be found. So I took care. Slowly, I brought my ship to rest on the rocky surface, the landing gear taking the most of the weight of the ship. It softly bounced and creaked as the engine shut down. I stood. The gravity on the planet meant I could do so without using my mag boots. It felt good to reach out and stretch. Hear my joints click and pop. It made me feel strangely human. Something I've not felt for a long time. I thought about Wolf 25 as I sat looking out over the planet. I'm not sure whether I was hiding from the sun or just hiding in general. Either way, I would have to make a move. It seems fate wouldn't want me to really think about Wolf 25. I found my first chunk of yttrium within a kilometer of the landing site. People would say that was lucky. I would say that the universe didn't want me to think about the problems that we faced. So I drove around for another few hours and I headed back to my ship. I decided that what I would do is I would find somewhere more picturesque than a flat plain, and I would take tea. I would eat my evening meal and retire. Only then would I allow myself to think about what happened back there, and think about what would happen when I got to the Heart and Soul.